G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. You see these? These are the fittings which the delivery truck driver put into my hand as he was driving out the front gate. And what he said was 72mm hole. He said the rubber has to go into the hole. Yeah, righto. Thanks very much. Now this thing is manufactured from congealed oil. It's polyethylene. That's why they call them poly tanks. And I reckon it's conservatively about 20mm thick. So just quietly, I think it might be more than the capability of my ancient hole saw. Because my ancient hole saw was pretty high tech when I bought it, but I think it was made for plywood, and maybe 1/2 inch thick wood. And what you got is a drill, and you got a whole lot of spring steel saw blades bent in a circle, and you can take them out, so you only have the one. I suppose if you really wanted to get artistic, you could have a big one and a little one, but you know, basically the idea is to have one. So you've got 25, 32, 38, 44, 51, 57 and 63mm of the metric. You got inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, inch and 3/4, 2 inches, 2 1/4 and 2 1/2 inches. Spring steel, warranted quality. Yeah, but I don't think it's not going to be much bloody good. So I went into the hardwaring of the shop and I said, I've got a problem, I need to buy a 72mm hole saw. And they said, oh gee, we haven't got a 72mm. Closest they could come up was 70. But for that to work, I had to have a thing they called an arbor. And holy shit, a bugger bitch bum canut fuck poo. Haven't hole saws advanced since the last time I bought one of the bastards. Jesus. Bimetal, cobalt, steel. It's got variable incidence teeth, a variable pitch teeth. All of these teeth, it's the same distance from the peaks to the troughs, right? Apparently that's not good for vibration. These ones, some of them are about 6.5mm apart, and other ones are only about 4mm apart, tip to tip. So you have variable pitch toothies. Isn't that cutie? And if you grip the grab there, thusly, and you pull that down, you can actually disengage. And once you disengage, then you can unscrew the bugger and you can take it off. So I bought that. And of course, yes, you've got a drill, but it's got a much longer pilot lead, and the drill is in there and it's secured by that locking screw on its flat side. So it's kind of like the same principle. It's just very much more evolved, and it's for heavy duty. And this is a bimetal 2 3/4 or 70mm, high speed steel with cobalt at 8%. And I got that thing home and I thought, do I really want to drill the hole for this with that there thing? Maybe I don't. Gee, I wish they'd sold me a complete kit and then sold me this 70mm hole saw as well as the kit, because the fancy pantsy spring loaded arbor was $34 or maybe $40, and the saw was $30, maybe it was $40 and $34, but that's a $74 chunk of hardware per piece of kit. And to get the 29mm, in order to drill that there one, you got to buy this, which includes another arbor. So I've now got 2 arbors. Yahoo yippee. And that's $130. So we're now looking at $200 to drill 3 holes. However, you live and you learn, and you know, I suppose if I lose one harbour, I've already got a spare. Always look on the bright side of life. Monty Python said that, eh? And then you better pray that there's intelligence up above, because there's bugger all down here on Earth. Of course, that is to go onto there, which has a one of them, which comes up to here, and then we have one of those as well. So it doesn't matter how scared I am of fucking it up. If I don't go over there and drill some holes in that tank, then what was the point of spending all that money getting the thing delivered? And let's face it, if I really fuck it up, I'll have to go and buy a coaxial arbor and cut a different hole and put a plug in it and try again somewhere else. I don't think I'm going to totally fuck the water tank if I get this wrong. You never know when you're trying to teach yourself to do something you've never done before. Okay, batteries are full. Float charge. Regulator agrees they're full. 13.3 volts. 22.8 volts on the panels. No current going through. 35.1 amperes a day. Turn on the inverter. Okay, that won't show up there because the inverter is connected straight to the batteries. It's an 850 watt inverter. 600 watt. Good for 1500 watt surge. Well, I thought it was 850. Never mind, we're going to connect it to Mr. Makita's hammer drill with a small arbor, and this is a 710 watt. So we're well within the 1500 watt surge, but we might be straining the inverter a bit. And maybe perhaps with the big one, might have to start the generator for that. Anyway, what I had to do was come over here and measure that, which is 5.5 inches off the ground. And then anywhere you want to plug into it, that's how high up you got to drill your hole. And my theory is I'm going to have a ball valve shut off and a 65mm Storts cap and a Storts cap there, a Storts fitting and a Storts cap there, and that is to feed my pump, right? And the 65mm Storts cap's gonna go about there. I will retain for emergency use the cam lock suction pipe going over to the lead weight, which I'm sure those of you who are familiar with my channel will remember I gave an exercise lesson in how to cast a lead weight. And that means I can access 5,000 litres there and 6,000 litres there if this thing exhausts its 25,000 litres. And assuming these things haven't melted from the radiant heat. But on the topic of radiant heat, we do still retain 2 full rolls of sarking insulation. So one around there, and the top half of that goes around there, and the other roll goes around that. Because you don't want your water tank to melt in the radiant heat. Now, the theory is we're going to have a ball valve there to feed my pump. We're going to have a tap with a water pipe with a tap there. And over here we're going to have another ball valve with a Storts fitting, and the idea behind that is so that if everything goes friggin' pear-shaped and the RFS is having a total turd of a day, I want them to be able to come here and back into here and connect to my tank and then go out there and fucking stop the fire from coming here and annoying me, right? And for that purpose, I'm also going to put 65mm Storts fittings on my neighbour's bore tanks. Because what's the point in having all of this water and the fire brigade showing up and they got a bloody 1 or 2 or 3 ton tank on their truck? They're not going to be able to fight fire for very long. And over there, there's a 132,000 volt power line, about half a kilometre away, and it's on wooden poles. So they're going to want to try and protect that, and protect that from any fire coming up over there. figure I might get a bit protected by them, because once it gets past here, they've got no hope of stopping it at the power, before the power line. If the power line goes, you've lost Armidale to Tenterfield worth of backup. On the other side of the coin, if there's some fire coming from the highway towards the power line, they're going to be coming up through here to go over to the power line and try and stop it from getting to the power line. Either way, I would like them to use my water to stop the fire before it gets to me and I have to use what's left of the water that they haven't used. So let's hope that's not a stupid idea, but you know, you pays your money and you takes your choice, and the whole idea is the 8 billion are going to fuck the world, and when the fire comes here, I want to be able to convince it to go around me. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm playing the most artistic game of Titanic deck chairs that I can contrive to imagine. And that means I have to drill holes in the bottom of my $3,600 brand new water tank, and that is fucking terrifying. Oh, and the reason they're all so close together is because Muggins has to go up there and figure out how to lower the bloody fittings in and pull them out from the inside with the mushroom flans on the inside 3 times. 2 brass, 1 plastic. I have got a plan in mind for that, and I'm not going to tell you what it is just now. Okay, let's see how this goes. Right, well, that's just a little bit fast. Set on forward. I think we might try something like that. This is scary. There we go. Did undo that. There you go. That is the removed chunk. Call it a centimetre thick. And yes, it's a really nice smooth little hole on the inside. I'm pretty pleased with that. Right, so we leave that there and we go. See, all of a sudden the battery's found a use for about 6 amps. Today 35, yesterday 34, day before 40. Bulk charge 13.7. PV 13.9, 5.3 going in, and for some reason this always reads 1.15 times the actual amp meter reading, and I'll check the amp meter reading with a clamp meter around the wire, so yeah, that thing reads low. I think it might be 1.19. And quickly, before the flush of confidence in the success fades, we'll go and try the big one. This one's not going to be quite big enough. I'm going to have to use a round file and remove 1 millimetre from the entire circumference to turn from 70 mils into 72 mils. Right, looks okay. And it works too. It's got a bit of a bloody wobble on it. I think I might play with the set of that. Basically, my theory is you open the truck a little bit, you get that rocking, and then you keep very gradually slightly tightening the truck until you make sure that the 3 drawers are actually gripping in the centre of the faces. And in theory that should get slightly better alignment than if you just stuff it in there, tighten up the truck, and they grip on the edges of the faces rather than in the centre. But you know, might be bullshit, eh? It's just my attempt to get the actual alignment. Not much friggin' better at all. Anyway, here we go. Got that one too. A friggin' disc fell in there. and I can't get it easily, but I can get it eventually. Once more under the breech, and we'll try and take a little bit better care of the control at the meeting point. There we go, and this time we caught the disc, and it's actually slightly too hot to be comfortable to hang on to. There we go, got the thing out. Here we go, $200 to drill 3 holes, but it worked. And hey, the pair of pliers that I used, that was another bloody $250. It's really expensive being a hillbilly these days. Who would have knew? Okay, sun's further down, so we're talking, yeah, it still says 6 volts. No, 6 amps. Doopty-doopty-doo. Looks close to about 13.3 or 4 by that. There. Bulk charge, 13.5. Battery voltage, 13.7 on the panels. 5.3 amps going in according to that, 6 amps according to the actual amp meter, 36 amps today. We turn that off, and we see whether we've got any actual change to the voltage of the batteries when they're under charge. 13.6, not 13.5, and the inverter's not running. Panel voltage hasn't gone up, 5.3. Yep, so there we go. That's how to use solar power to run a power tool to drill a hole in a tank made out of congealed petroleum oil. And now the fun part, getting the mushroom on the inside. Because it won't fit in the kit, the 70mm saw can probably live with the drill. It's the only one of my drills that's got a big enough chuck to be able to work it apart from the pedestal drill over in the machinery shed. So it's even got a place to live beside the new Rockwell 240 volt Dremel, which I bought that because it's got a double roller bearing front end on it and it's got no 4.5 play in the bit. Drill is down there underneath the electric oven, the key cutting file set, and a little hand ratchet. Got to organise your tools, especially the new ones and the good ones. Suppose I should adjust that for maximum power. However, when you do that, you wind up with the early onset of the shadiness. So let's go back to being not perfectly aligned but shadow free. And now changing tools to the 18 volt nickel cadmium. I think it might have been $15 or $25 in crazy prices, but it comes with 2 batteries and it does charge up and it does work. So let us see. So we'll climb up the ancient steel ladder, and then we've got to pull those 3 out. I have part taken this off previously. The really observant will notice that this drill has been told to go forwards, whereas it's actually going backwards. That would be because some half-wit shaped roughly like me had the thing to pieces while investigating, seeing how bad it was, and when I put it back together I put the battery terminal connection in backwards. So when it says it's going forwards, it's actually going backwards, and vice versa.